Welcome in another edition of Curd and Long. See Sparky Fifer with you, of course, 12:50 a.m. The Fan in beautiful Milwaukee. Follow me on Twitter at Sparky Radio. He is Ryan Horvat, of course, of BetMGM Tonight, Nick Ashew, Trista Crick, and himself. While you're watching the games, you listen to them, the BetQL Radio Network with BetMGM Tonight, and they'll give you tips and betting advice and always entertaining that show. As they react as games are going on. And joining us, special guest, lead off the show, he is Bill Williamson of silverandblackpride.com. Follow him on Twitter at BWilliamsonNFL. And if you're old like me and old like Bill, you remember Bill used to cover the Packers back in the day for the Appleton Post-Crescent and stayed in touch with Bill Williamson this whole time for all of his travels around the country. And before we came on, him and I were just talking about the Broncos and just how horrible that has turned out. And you obviously used to cover the Denver Broncos back in the day. Your thoughts on just what it looks like? Obviously, everybody's still in the same division, so you still got to deal with the Broncos, but that's something else there, man. You get Russell Wilson, that doesn't work. Then you bring in, a good coach and Sean Payton, and it still doesn't work.
Yeah, allegedly good coach, right?
Allegedly.
You are what you are right now. The Broncos have given the Raiders a lifeline, a break. The Raiders are 1-3 like the Broncos, and their only win is a 1-point win over Denver. And I don't know if a 1-point win over the Denver Broncos looks all that great on a resume these days.
No.
The Raiders have beaten the Broncos 7 games in a row, and the Broncos, in the big picture, in the Broncos, I don't know how it's going to get better anytime soon. You're tied into you can't. If Peyton doesn't work out, you can't just keep firing coaches. They owed so much money, and he's making a ton of money. And then the Russell Wilson thing with his contract and then all the resources they gave up for him, it's really sticky in Denver. The one maybe saving grace, and it could end up in the long run being a big saving grace, is that they might be in position to get one of the top quarterbacks. And after giving up so many first-round picks, if they hit on that quarterback, then it gets, you can see the end of the tunnel, but it's still going to be pretty sticky here for a while.
I actually wanted to move over to the Raiders now, and, you brought up Sean Payton. What grade would you give Josh McDaniels? I think that, everybody kind of got to see that on primetime, right, where he kicks the field goal to make, a one-score game. But what I don't understand is you look at the offensive side of the ball. Maybe I'm a Notre Dame homer, but I really like Michael Mayer there. You have weapons, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, especially in the red zone. I don't understand why he's not getting more targets. Just what's going on there, especially with the offensive side of the ball, because I feel like the talent's there, even if it is Aiden O'Connell behind center, but just something's off and they're not putting it all together.
Yeah, well, Garoppolo's the starter. He'll probably be back this week, I would think. If you look on paper, there is a lot of talent on that offense. Adams is an elite player, arguably the best receiver in the league. Jacoby Myers is a fine number 2. Josh Jacobs is the reigning rushing champion. Colton Miller is a really, above average left tackle.
Yeah.
Hunter Renfrow is a guy who had 103 catches in 21. Myers, a kid that has a chance to be a good tight end. There's talent. The Jimmy's won. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. The offense has regressed. They've only scored 62 points. They're the only team in the NFL not to hit 20 points in a game this season.
Oh,
and and it's the running game is not working. And against Garoppolo and then a rookie in Connell, you force those guys to beat you, and it hasn't happened. So yeah, it's pretty messy.
It's funny because Packers make that trade of Devontae Adams, and my co-host here was probably about as angry as anybody in the state of Wisconsin when Devontae Adams got traded. And then I saw, and I quote tweeted it earlier today before you came on and said we were going to talk to you. You did a piece talking about Devontae Adams, and looking back, would you still have done that trade if you're the Raiders? You had a little poll question up, and I clicked on it and got a bunch of votes, and it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be of people saying yes to no. Is that fan base kind of really split on whether or not that was a good idea because of how bad they are?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that, how close it was as well. And look, I really thought that was a good move for the Raiders. And I think I even talked to you after that trade happened.
You did.
I was very surprised that they got him for what they got him for. And I thought the Packers were very, I don't know if naive was the right word, But do they really shop him around, or do they just say, okay, we can't handle it anymore. We don't know what to do. He wants to go to the Raiders. We'll call the Raiders.
Yes, that's what happened. Yes, that's exactly what happened. They said, okay, Davante, that's where you want to go. That's exactly what happened.
What is this, the NBA? You know?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could have gotten more, I thought. And more from the Raiders if there was some, all the Darren Waller talk, I think that was true, So, yeah, it was weird. I thought the Raiders did a nice job in that trade. He's certainly been just as good with Derek Carr and just as good with Jimmy Garoppolo and just as good at O'Connell. He's a star. The problem is they made that trade to go win a Super Bowl, and they're coming off a 10-win season. They got him. They extended Carr. They extended Waller. They extended Crosby. They extended Renfro. That was go for it stuff, right? And then they win 6 games, and they're maybe we're rebuilding. And Davante says it's stuff to the ringer. I'm not really into a rebuild. I don't have time for that. He said the same words after the week 2 loss. Week 2, I don't have time for this. Week 3, but still very early. So my thoughts is because he won in Green Bay and he obviously doesn't like losing and he is playing winning football. So if these losses are pissing him off now, what's it going to be if it continues?
Yeah, but let me just interject quickly. And I don't know what you watch outside of sports on TV, Bill. So, but I'll tell you, one of my shows that we like to watch in our family is called Celebrity Apprentice, right? And they have. Is it Celebrity Apprentice? No, Secret Celebrity Renovation or whatever it is. Whatever.
Yeah. You shouldn't admit this in public, Sparky.
No, I'm going to because it plays in what we're talking about. So last week, it's 2 weeks ago, 1 or 2 weeks ago, Davante Adams was the guy that got to surprise somebody in his family. And he was the celebrity for the 1 hour show. Right. And they surprised his grandma and redid her house and the inside of the house and the whole deal. And she's got this like silver and black room that she's always had and everything else. All that talk. And I thought it was all a bunch of hubbub back in the day about, wanting his family to see him play more and all that other stuff. You watch that hour show and you see just how connected he is to everybody. And he's not going anywhere. And he's not going to ask for a trade because he doesn't want to leave his family. He's not going to leave his grandma and family. There's just no way. So he can do a lot of talking, but if you watch that show, there's no way his heart is leaving that fan base. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see it happening, Bill.
I don't know. If I had to make a prediction, he's on another team in 2025.
I'd be shocked.
All right, Bill. Back to reality here. Not the reality world. Let's go to the upcoming schedule for the Raiders. So. Couple winnable games, in my opinion. You got Green Bay, young team. You got the Patriots. You got the Bears. Then it's the Lions and the Giants. Let's say things go south these next couple of weeks. They don't get any better on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe do you think they do look to move a Davante Adams? Or I know Max Crosby's great on the defensive side of the ball, but I just, in the AFC is loaded, and it's loaded with young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. And now you look at this upcoming draft, and I don't know when we're going to get another quarterback class like this with Caleb Williams and Drake May. Even Spencer Rattler's been really good. Do you think there's any chance that maybe if things don't get any better, they just blow this whole thing up and look for one of these quarterbacks? Because I like Aiden O'Connell, but I don't think he's quarterback of the future.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. There are some winnable games here. Look at the first 4 games of the year. The Raiders' opponents are combined 8-8. That's not great. And they're 1-3. And then the next 4 is 6-10. So they can get better. But yeah, if they do lose to they end up losing to the Bears and the Patriots, and they're like, 1-6 going into that deadline. Yeah, anything's possible. I mean, they got some appealing players. I think you throw Josh Jacobs into that mix. Who, because there's a decision that has to be made on him again in the offseason. So maybe you make that somebody else's decision. Maybe you don't get a whole lot for him, but maybe they do get something. So, I mean, yeah, Hunter Renfro, I mean, they're not using him and they're paying him $16 million a year and he's not being targeted. So somebody could use him, So, yeah, there's pieces for sure.
I was just thinking, obviously, too, I said this last year, they're going to want to make a big splash because it's Las Vegas. And, I mean, again, like going back to Aiden O'Connell, you want a flashy name, especially at the quarterback position, a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. So do you think there is a lot of pressure, to get this thing turned around quickly? And that kind of goes with Josh McDaniels too. How long is his leash? Because I would think that they'd want to get this thing moving pretty quickly, especially building that big, stadium and moving the team to Vegas just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mark Davis is all about the splash, and he wants superstars, especially being in Vegas, and especially seeing that stadium filled with opposing fans. What's it going to be like Monday? It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be just as bad as it was with the Steelers. And that really bothers Mark Davis. So he wants splash. He thought he got splash in John Gruden. Well, that didn't quite work out. But, that was John Gruden's issue. He really thought Josh McDaniels was a great get. He thought he was getting a coup with this guy, and I don't understand why, but he did think that was a biggie. So he's trying to get Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, players wise, he will want splash. And as far as patience, if you look at his 11 years as the owner after his father's died, there's been times where he's been patient. There's been times where he's been overly patient, and there's been times where he's had a quick trigger. So there's really no theme there, But if the losing continues, he wants this to work out with McDaniels and Ziegler. He does. But if it's like 3-13, I don't know. Yeah, he probably is forced to do it. There's video of fans yelling at him in LA the other day, to fire McDaniels, and he's yelling back at him. So it's starting to get tense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What a mess. Well, at least he's got the aces still. Bill Williamson, you can follow him on Twitter at BWilliamsonNFL. And, of course, check out his website, silverandblackpride.com. We always go to him anytime the Raiders are involved, having something to do with the Green Bay Packers. Bill, thanks for spending some time with us on Curd and Long, man. Appreciate it.
Hey,
thanks, Bill.
Cool, guys. Good seeing you. Take care. Thank you.
You betcha. Take care, Bill. There he is, Bill Williamson. On Curd and Long. And again, silverandblackpride.com. It's really good. Follow him on Twitter. He's got all kinds of stuff up. Always has content up there. All right, let's move on here in our Curd and Long episode. I saw something that I found interesting. And I want to go to my guy, Ryan Horvat, because he knows everything about everything, and especially in the National Football League. He watches every game.
My wife this, Sparky. See, you should be my agent or just my life coach around here. You're right. I do know everything about everything.
Correct. I know that. Yes.
Thank
right.
You. Thank you.
And I don't fight. I don't fight it. So
I appreciate this.
The 33rd team, great website. They got a bunch of NFL personnel people, former NFL personnel people. Our guy Ben Fennell is affiliated with those guys. So they do a really good job. Okay. So they put out quarterback power rankings, apparently, and I saw it for week 5 this week. So you know me, I want to go see where our guy Jordan Love is and see kind of where he is ranked this week. So let's kind of start from the top, shall we? Patrick Mahomes is 1. Okay, fine. No surprise there. Josh Allen is 2. Okay, fine. No problem there. Lamar Jackson is 3. I come to you, Ryan Horvat, on Lamar Jackson as 3. Do you like the offense that Baltimore is now running with their new offensive coordinator, Monken over there coming from Georgia? I saw that design run that he had for a touchdown this week, and he pulls 2 offensive linemen, and they are like his escorts into the end zone from like the 3 or the 4 yard line, running left, like left of center, I guess it was. That was a nicely designed play for sure.
Yeah, like so far it's okay. It's not really what I wanted it to be because there has been a lot of Lamar like quarterback design runs the last 2 weeks, and that's because the offensive line for Baltimore's already beat up. They lost J.K. Dobbins, their starting running back
on my fantasy team. Yeah,
and they have a bunch of injuries already in the wide receiver room. Shockingly, Odell Beckham Jr. is not healthy this season. So, like Zay Flowers is their only downfield threat. So, what I wanted to see in the Monken offense was like what we saw at Louisville with Lamar, which would be Lamar in the pocket a little bit more, a lot of 11 personnel, a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, Lamar pushing the ball down the field. And like his ADOT was like 5 point something the first couple of weeks of the season. It was a lot of dinking and dunking, but I think that's just because of the injury. So far, so good. I do like Baltimore a lot, but man, they just got to stay healthy. But the offense, an instant upgrade over what they had with Greg Roman calling the plays. I did not like Greg Roman. And a team that should take notes, in my opinion, one of the worst offenses, if not the worst offense in the league. Like Atlanta's offense is bad because they don't have a quarterback. The Steelers did have a quarterback. They've now offed him. He's probably going to miss some time, but Matt Canada is doing a very awful job. And I don't ever like,
never liked him.
lose their job, man. But it's like Joe Barry. You know what I mean? Like
Canada, former Badger coach, and then has went to numerous places since, obviously, his time at Wisconsin. And that was a Bill Williamson guy, not Bill Williamson guy, a Brett Bielema guy, Matt Canada.
Yeah.
And
don't get me started on Brett Bielema. You want to talk about another guy that might have to go? I know he won last year. That's bad. They're bad. I'm betting against them with Nebraska. I think they're going to lose to Nebraska this week at home.
Nebraska's not good either.
No, but Matt Rule like always takes a year. You know what I mean?
Because his first year always sucks.
Culture. Yeah, Brett's not good. We know why they were good last year. You saw Devin Witherspoon on Monday Night Football. They were just loaded with talent on the defensive side of the ball. But no, I do like what I'm seeing from Baltimore. Hate what I'm seeing from Pittsburgh. And those were the two teams I was fascinated with in the AFC. But I wouldn't be shocked if Baltimore went on a run. But for me, all my money is now invested in the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are the best team in football.
So Jackson 3, Justin Herbert is 4, Trevor Lawrence is 5, Matthew Stafford is 6, and it looks like he's going to get Cooper Kupp back here. So Cooper Kupp allowed to start practicing. And I don't know if he'll play this week or the following week, but he's on the verge of coming back. This Rams team, not a lot of people were looking at necessarily in the offseason, but now all of a sudden, I think you look at this Rams team and go, well, maybe they're a playoff team. I mean, they're not going to win a division, but maybe they're a playoff team.
Yeah, the adventures of Puka and Tutu this season.
Yep.
So I want my son to be a quarterback, and so I'm trying to get him to watch the all 22 every week of Matthew Stafford and I know he got dinged in the last game.
Tell everybody how old your son is, Ryan.
10.
All 22.
10, 10 years old. Yeah, because like nobody is playing the position better than Matthew Stafford. I think that he's too low on this list. Matthew Stafford right now, I think, is a top 5 quarterback in the league. You know what's funny? We do like the NFC quarterback rankings, and I asked the same question the last 2 years. Like, did Matthew Stafford die? I like Jalen Hurts, but I mean, Matthew Stafford's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Is he ever going to get any credit for that too? Like, look what he did, man. In Detroit, those teams were awful. And not only were those teams awful, say what you want about McCarthy. I think McCarthy's proven he's a good coach, right? Matthew Stafford never had anybody with half of a brain. It was all these just schmucks. It was guys like Matt Patricia with like breadcrumbs in his beard. And then he goes and he's with McVay and they win a Super Bowl. And, then they went to the playoffs the next year. Now they're dealing with injuries, but I want to see them make the playoffs. I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan. I think he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks when it goes to like great throwers of the football. And that's where you got to like Aaron Rodgers, whenever he's on McAfee and they talk to the position, he always gives Matthew Stafford a lot of credit. Anytime though, they show the Mahomes no look throws and stuff. And they're like, nobody could do this. Matthew Stafford's been doing that for like the last 15 years. So I think he's a little bit too low. I've had a lot of fun watching him this season. He's putting together a ridiculous year. And like you said, he's going to get Cooper Kupp back. So really high on Stafford. I don't know about the Rams because they don't have a lot of talent in the secondary. But man, Stafford's great.
Yeah, I've never been a Stafford guy, though. 7, Dak Prescott. 8, Jalen Hurts. 9, Geno Smith. Come on, man. I mean, I know this was a story last year and everybody, kissed up to Geno Smith about, oh, man, what a story it is. But here we sit. And yet again, he's still playing well. He's still doing what they're asking him to do. Now, he doesn't have to be Josh Allen, but Pete Carroll deserves a lot of credit for what he's been able to do in Seattle. They were down for a little bit, but I mean, what's Pete Carroll going on 80, however old he is? And they are at a point here where they're another team like the Rams, where they very well could be a playoff team, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, I like Seattle a lot. And the reason I like Seattle is what they're doing on defense. Now. They had 11 sacks in that game against the Giants. Granted, it was against the Giants without their left side of their offensive line. But I love the Devin Witherspoon kid. Loved him out of Illinois. And then on the offensive side of the ball, man, you know what's scary about the Seahawks? So Geno's for real. Like, his completion percentage is ridiculous. But also, they're not even, like, using all their weapons yet. I like Kenneth Walker a lot, but imagine if they start using Zach Charbonnet more. They get JSN involved in the offense more, Smith and the Jigba. I like Lockett and Metcalf. Seattle's scary, and I think Geno's really good. I think
you're absolutely right. They're not using the rookies nearly as much as they could. And that'll probably change throughout the course of the year, I would think. Okay, then Tua at 10. We all know about that. Can I just say right here, I don't like this ranking, this next one. Joe Burrow at 11. Why? Based on what? Why is he at 11? I mean, you could argue Jordan Love has done more for his team than Joe Burrow has to this point. What, 3 points last week? I mean, he's hurt.
This season or just for like... Oh,
yes. Yeah. Week 5 quarterback part. So this changes every week, depending on whatever I say. He doesn't belong at 11. No way does he belong at 11, Ryan. And I never thought I'd say that about Joe Burrow, but I'm sorry, I'm not in. And I know Jordan Love's completion percentage isn't high, and it's one of the worst in the league. I know. But there's other advanced stats you can go to find where Jordan Love does look really good when you start talking about numbers. So for me personally, I'm not buying Joe Burrow at 11.
No, now I'm pissed. Now, I mean, I know Pro Football Focus isn't end-all be-all, but I got it up, so we're going to do this really quick. Player grades. Tua number 1. Wow. And they got him number 10. Tua is right now the number 1 rated quarterback. Trevor Lawrence 2. Jared Goff 3. Mahomes 4. Josh Allen 5. Stafford 6. Dalton 7. Russell Wilson 8. We go down. Jordan Love sitting there at number 23. Who was 7? 7 was Andy Dalton.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Short sample size.
Yeah.
See, wait, ignore snap minimum. Hold on. Yeah, let's ignore the snap minimum. Wow, Andy Dalton's still up there, man. Andy Dalton's putting up some good numbers. Jordan Love is 23, MJ, and just below Josh Dobbs, who's actually been balling out. But he is 2 spots ahead of Joe Burrow, who's number 25. So yeah,
this is good because as we look at this, Goff is 13, Cousins is 12, Tannehill 14, Russell Wilson is 15, Brock Purdy 16, CJ Stroud 17, Anthony Richardson 18, and then Jordan Love at 19. You're talking about Dobbs, he's 31st on this list, only in front of Zach Wilson.
What's the list? What's the headline again? Because now I'm confused.
Week 5 quarterback power rankings.
Yeah, how is Dobbs so low? Who did this?
Derek Klassen is the guy that put together the power rankings for 30.
Oh, I actually love him. Damn, I wonder why I don't like his list at all. Yeah, so much off on that, right?
Yeah, so Carr is 20, Mac Jones, Garoppolo, Watson, Fields is 24.
Yeah, I'm fine
Baker
with all
Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Ritter, Pickett, Young, Howell, Dobbs, Zach Wilson.
We got Baker's number 11 according to Pro Football Focus. Why is Baker so low?
Baker should not be below Justin Fields.
Is anybody watching Baker right now? Baker's playing out of his damn mind. And I think that's a really cool story too. And I was making the case for Baker though, coming into the year, man. Like when Baker's been healthy, he's been solid. The problem is, he got hurt and then everybody he was in Cleveland. It's a disaster there every year. Correct. Yeah. There's a lot off on that list, man.
Okay, good. I'm glad I brought it up.
One more thing really quick, because I was all making the case against this guy. And I know he's playing in the Shanahan offense. And, if he doesn't get to his first read, he kind of melts a little bit. But Brock Purdy is way too low on that list too. Brock Purdy had 1 incompletion last week. He hasn't thrown an interception all season long.
Yeah, he's got him at 16, middle of the pack.
I don't know if that's fair. I mean, he's on an undefeated team. I guess we'll find out how good Brock Purdy is this weekend against the Cowboys, because that's the game of the week.
Correct. You will find out quickly how good he is. I want to go back to that Monday Night Football game with Daniel Jones. He throws that pick to Witherspoon. He comes to the sidelines. I don't know if you saw this while you were doing the show. I bet MGM tonight.
Oh, yeah.
He comes to the sidelines. Here comes Dabble walking over with his little iPad or whatever it is in his hand. And he's pointing at his iPad and showing him whatever he's showing him. And Daniel Jones is looking at it and nods his head. Dabble takes the thing and throws it at the assistant coach and walks away in disgust. That is not good, because you just gave that dude a brand new 4-year deal. He's in the top 10 of quarterbacks getting paid in the National Football League after that deal that you gave him after last year. Now, having said that, the Giants' offensive line, like you said, was hurt. They have really no number 1 wide receiver, right? The Giants, they don't really have that at this point. So is Daniel Jones being put in a position to succeed, or is Daniel Jones just not that good, Ryan?
Oh, that's a really good question. I was trying to talk about this on my show last night. So I think there's a little bit of both here, Spark. Kind of like Jordan Love, right? Jordan Love wasn't very good on, when was that game? I feel like the Packers haven't played in 3 weeks. We've been talking about the same stuff.
Thursday against the Lions.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Jordan Love wasn't very good against Detroit, but he was set up for failure, right? I mean, they threw the ball 10 consecutive times to start the game. There wasn't even the threat of run. And you're going against a Lions defense that's getting pressured at a 36% rate. And when they do get home, they're actually sacking the quarterback. And I get they're top 5 against the run, but you at least had to, I don't know what that game plan was. But that's kind of the way that I felt about Daniel Jones. The Giants had 11 days to prepare for that game for the Seattle Seahawks. And I get that the defense looks good for Seattle, but there's still a bunch of young dudes in that secondary. And I just did not like the game plan. I get you don't have Saquon. Like you said, you don't really have a true number one wide receiver. But the reason I didn't like the game plan, and I don't think this had anything to do with Daniel Jones, there's one area where you could attack the Seattle defense, and it's been the same for the last 2 years, and it's the middle of the field, and they're paying all that money to Darren Waller. And going into the fourth quarter, Darren Waller had 1 reception for 5 yards. I know this because I bet on him to have 50 receiving yards because I was like, this is the game plan right here. And, you think about it, like I like Brian Daboll and I like Mike Kafka, but they haven't been very good this year either. So, no, like Daniel Jones, to answer your question, is not Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I don't even think he's Dak Prescott.
But he's not Zach Wilson.
I don't think he's terrible, but like I think he needs to be in a good system, good offensive line, playmakers, wide receiver talent. He doesn't have that. So it's hard to just blame it all on Daniel Jones because I actually, he made some plays in that game. He had a bad interception. The one thing you could say about Daniel Jones is he's tough as hell because he gets the crap kicked out of him every single week. But he'll never win a Super Bowl. He'll never be the reason a team wins a Super Bowl. Like, could he be Eli on those teams with that NASCAR pass rush? Maybe, if he doesn't turn the ball over. That's the other thing, though. He fumbles the ball still way too much. He turns the ball over way too much. I think the Giants screwed up. I talked about this. Remember, they were almost like kind of backed into making a decision that I don't think that they should have made, though, right? Because they made the playoffs. They won double-digit games. Brian Daboll was coach of the year, and you had to make a decision that year on Daniel Jones and on Saquon Barkley. Right. Saquon I'm fine with. But you know what it kind of reminded me of? The Rams a couple years ago went to the Super Bowl, but you kind of saw that Jared Goff wasn't going to be the guy that could win that game because he couldn't push the ball down the field, and that's what McVay desperately wanted in the offense. So he went and got Stafford and that rocket for an arm. But also the Rams knew that Todd Gurley wasn't healthy. He got hurt at Georgia, and the reports were like with his knee that he was going to have arthritis. And because they went to the Super Bowl, they paid both of those guys. Now they were lucky enough, in a bigger market team where I still don't understand how they did what they did, but they kind of like retooled that team, went all in for Odell Beckham Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Matthew Stafford, won a Super Bowl, but now they're going to be in cap hell for a couple years. And I just feel like the Giants probably should have just ripped the Band-Aid off, maybe sucked this year, maybe drafted they're like Hendon Hooker, bad example because he can't play football, I don't think this year, coming off the ACL. Because this is like the year you want to suck, man. You want Caleb Williams. You want Drake May. You want Spencer Rattler. You want a kid that nobody's talking about in Tyler Van Dyke or one of these guys. So I just thought it was dumb because, it was like a nice year. But Daniel Jones isn't the reason the Giants won double-digit games last year. He only threw 300 yards 3 times, and 2 of them came against the Vikings, the worst pass defense in the league. So, I think he's a good backup. I think he could be like a starting quarterback of a playoff team, but I don't think it's going to be with the Giants. Not with Jalen Hyatt and these dudes, as his top receivers.
One last thing for you on the way out. I don't know if you saw the report last night. Some reports out there surfacing that Urban Meyer and Michigan State may have some link. Now, Bruce Feldman said he talked to his people and said, absolutely not. There's nothing between those two. I talked to somebody that said he was most certainly in East Lansing yesterday. So I don't know what's going on or if that's going to happen one way or the not, but I will say this. The drama that will ensue if Urban Meyer is at Michigan State with Harbaugh at Michigan, oh boy. With Ryan Day at Ohio State, oh boy. I mean, and then the Fickle hire, Wisconsin still looks good, but now Urban Meyer's here too. Like, this conference is bananas. And then you add USC in next year. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So I don't think it happens, but who knows, especially in today's world of college football. I think it would be a great hire. Urban Meyer sucked in the NFL, but he's a great college coach, and he can recruit, and he could turn that program around quickly. People are like, why would you make that hire after everything that went down with Mel Tucker? It would be a bad look. I don't know that it would be a bad look. Like Urban Meyer, he recruited a bunch of criminals when he was at Florida, but those were the times, right? He wasn't Art Briley. And he didn't really do anything wrong in Jacksonville. Like you shouldn't hang around after your team loses. You should probably travel with them and hang around Smokey's, Sharky's bar playing grab ass. but he didn't really do anything wrong. Like, he's still married, didn't do any
Didn't he kick a guy in Jacksonville, one of the players?
The kicker. The kicker. It was just a kicker, Sparky. They cost me money every Saturday. I wish I could kick them too sometimes. But no, I think I'll say this though. In a dream world, I think Harbaugh though would leave Michigan. Like in a dream world, that all happens, and Ryan Day's at Ohio State yelling at old people, and you have Lincoln Riley.
Could you imagine?
I think Harbaugh will go back to the NFL. I don't think he wants that smoke. I think he's going back to the NFL anyway.
Could you imagine Harbaugh and Urban Meyer at Big Ten Media Day? Oh my God, get out of here, man. All day long. That would be amazing. And then again, if Matt Rule gets it going at Nebraska, and if Fickle can do what everybody thinks he can do at Wisconsin, and then USC comes rolling in, good Lord, this conference.
One last thing, because now I'm all fired up to talk about this. Damn it, I'm going to do this on Saturday, I think, on my show. What sucks about, not sucks, I love the BetQL tailgate kickoff, but it's an hour, and it's got to be like bets, and sometimes I just want to like talk about the main topics, and this is fascinating to me. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Never mind. Because if we get into
Michigan State, it's in the Big Ten, okay? So if we want to talk about academics and everything else, he's going to get whoever he wants in. It's not Northwestern. It's not Wisconsin. He's going to get, it's like Ohio State. He's going to get whoever he wants. You're not going to run into, he academically can't make it. No, it's going to be like Florida. He's going to get who he wants.
Yeah, short version of what I was going to say. The only thing with Urban Meyer is, why would he leave the broadcast booth again? Because the other thing with him is like his health too. I mean, I think some of it was BS. I'm also a big Urban Meyer hater, but I mean, he had the heart stuff going on. Yeah. Remember, like he could barely get through a game. And then that's why I was shocked that he wanted to take a job in the National Football League. And I just didn't really like his style of offense those last couple of years, even at Ohio State. Like, I thought Ryan Day, it was his time to take over things. I don't know. I don't know that it ends up happening. I'm cheering for it though, because I like a good dumpster fire, and I think that might be fun.
The drama, just Harbaugh and him and Michigan recruiting against each other. All the stories you would get from recruits and their families, how they'd be running their mouth about each other. Oh my God, it would be amazing. It would be amazing.
I'm going to listen to our people out in 97.1, the ticket out in Detroit, our guy Mike this afternoon, and see in Rieger, because that's a great station. And I want to hear what they're saying about that.
Ryan, last week, if you go back and listen to Curtin Long, Rieger was on and we were talking about this game. And he brought up Urban Meyer and how he said on the radio out there last week that he wants Urban Meyer at Michigan State. And I said, oh my God, you're out of your mind. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. And boom, here comes the story yesterday. Oh,
I would too. That program is a mess right now. But really quick on that, I just think that there's better hires. Maybe not like as far as like names for the casuals, but dude, you got to go and get yourself, like, if you got a shot at a Mike Elko, look what he's doing at Duke.
Doing a great job.
Lance, look what Lance is doing at Kansas. Yes. There's too many. Hell, the OC over at Colorado, man. You know what I mean? Like, there's just way too many guys right now. I don't know if you want to dig up the corpse of Urban Meyer. You know what I mean? Is that really something you want to do? Who knows though? It's college football.
It would be entertaining. He is Ryan Horvat, Steve Sparky, Fifer. We'll be back again on Friday. So this is how we're going to do it. Friday, we'll do our Confident Concern, Curious, like we would normally do, right? Even though the game's Monday night. And then we will not record a podcast on Monday, game day. And
my birthday.
Well, it's your birthday on Monday?
Yeah, I asked for the day off. They said no, but it is my birthday, so I'm glad that we're not recording. Yeah, I wanted to try to sneak to the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
My favorite team playing in my favorite place.
Vegas. Yeah. So no podcast on Monday, but then Tuesday we'll record the Curtin Long podcast, I should say, and we'll talk about Packers and Raiders then. But next podcast we'll record on Friday. Be up by Friday at 5 p.m. on Friday. Ryan, thank you so much, my friend. Enjoy the next couple of days. We'll talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you Friday.
UD Fool. Have a good one. Toodles.